something that motivates us. It's all about contributing to our well-being, to our wellness in life. And my opinion is that if we live a life with purpose, we're already halfway there.
Well, hello, fellow Bold Not Olders. How are you? And welcome to another session, another week of Wednesdays with Wallis. And welcome. Don't forget to hit subscribe button below you that comes up so that we can build our following, and eventually, hopefully, that will be of enormous benefit to us as we build on, and as we being able to have a bit more reach with our following and with the people who join in and the things that we're doing. And we are doing really, really fabulous things. Now, over this last little while, thinking at the moment about whether, or I've been thinking about, Wednesdays with Wallis. I've sort of, it's loosely Wednesdays with Wallis, and I'm thinking about adding podcast to it and actually making it a podcast instead of doing it on Zoom like I'm doing it now. Perhaps if I could do it on a better platform. Zoom's okay, but every now and again it drops out and does all weird, wonderful things, and that's not helpful. Light coming in through the door. I haven't sorted out the lighting. I'm a bit, slow on all these sorts of things because, sometimes the techno stuff, overwhelms me a bit. So in the weeks previous to this, I've talked about doing something for yourself, being entrepreneurial, not sitting around, just, going, where am I going, what am I doing? And I'll tell you a little story about a friend of mine recently, which was rather beautiful. She rang me this week and told me a little bit about herself, and which was wonderful. And I thought, oh, that's just fabulous. I'm, so for that. But I'll tell you about that in a minute. Before I do, I just, I've been talking about being entrepreneurial, doing things, getting off your bum and getting out there, getting on with life and getting on with having things to do, pursuing a passion, doing those sorts of things. One of the things I did a while ago, well, I've done a lot of different courses and a lot of things, and I've certainly taught myself all that I know. I've taught about technology as I've taught myself. So, from a person who, when technology first came in, or the whole thing around computers and internet and all that, especially computers all came in, I was a real naysayer. I was young and I said, oh, that won't last. That's, that's just a fad. Well, it wasn't, and it isn't. And so, I lagged behind a bit. I was, resistant. It's a bit like I always say to people, well, what you resist persists. So, I was very resistant to the internet and technology and all that sort of thing. So I found myself really struggling. And at a young age, struggling with the whole damn internet thing. You can't say that about the kids these days. No, they're amazing. But I struggled with it all. I sort of think, well, it doesn't have to be a struggle. Life doesn't have to be a struggle. I remember years ago reading a nice little book. I think I've got it on my shelf here somewhere, or out in the bookshelf probably, the other big bookshelf I have. It was a little book written by a man called Stuart Wilde, and it was all about life doesn't have to be a struggle. And at the time, it's just a little book, and when I picked it up to read it, I thought, oh, wouldn't it be great if that was true? Of course, in the ensuing years, I've, come to realise that that is true. Life isn't meant to be a struggle. It's not meant to be, something that we're just adjusting my screen. It's not meant to be the big struggle. It doesn't have to be that hard. Because, we make it that hard. I just got off the phone talking to our accountant, some of the issues and some of the things that I've, been going through. I realised that, only this morning, oh God, I'll tell you, I am a slow learner at times, kids, slow learner. But I realised that, I was making things way too hard. It doesn't have to be that hard. You get into your head, you get into stuff, you lose perspective, you get into just, bogged down in this mire and, mucky mess. And, you lose perspective. You just lose. You lose sort of being able to look at it all and go, well, it doesn't have to be like that. It can be better than that. What else? And, this morning, I'll have to tell you, I got into doing a bit of writing. I like writing, and it always helps me clear my head a bit. And I got into writing about, that very thing. What else? What other way could I do things in this other particular quagmire I got myself into? And I said, well, how else could it look? Think outside the box, Wallis. You're good at that. And so I felt so much better afterwards. So, maybe that's something you could do. Are you stuck at the moment? Are you feeling stuck? Are you feeling frustrated? Are you feeling like nothing's working? And, what the? I'm not allowed to swear, am I? But, I have this favourite saying that, it wouldn't be appropriate to swear. I do swear. But I was thinking recently about, years ago we used to laugh our heads off at being a member of the Fakawi tribe. Anyway, you'll work that out. I'm sure that you've heard it, and you'll figure out what that means. But it's true. It's like, sometimes we get so frustrated, just my head was like spaghetti. And, it's just, oh, God, where am I going? What am I doing? But anyway, I sat down this morning and I did a bit of writing, kids. And, I looked at what else. And if I was to think outside the box, how might that look? And the thing about thinking outside the box is this. You don't have to have the answer. You don't have to know what the outcome is. You don't have to then get attached to the outcome. You understand what I'm saying here? You don't have to get into all that. You don't have to go, I don't know, if I did that, what about? Don't worry about all that. Just think outside the box, because what we focus on multiplies. That's what we manifest in our life. That's where we get the manifestation from. We get the manifestation out of our willingness to be creative, to let go, and to dream, to live into the dream. Could we live into the dream? What's your dream? What would you like to do? I've called this, more of, I'm old, now what? I think there's a lot of things about, I'm old, now what? Because I don't think it's any different than I'm young, now what? Or I'm a kid, now what? Yeah, I don't think it's any different. I think it's about, well, what do you want? What do you want to do? Look, if you turned around and said to me, oh, Wallis, I'd really like to, I'd like to go on one of those rocket ships to the moon. Not joking, but, that might be something that floats your boat and you get a bit, okay, well, who goes on those and how do they do it? I mean, like I said to my accountant a bit earlier when I was talking to him, we were talking about dinner parties. Surprise, surprise, you would count talking about dinner parties, but him and I get into talking about houses and also. And so I was talking about, having a dinner party and how when you have a dinner party, it's not about what you put on. It's not about what you cook. We all get caught up in too much. But it is about how it looks when you serve it up. It is about how you plate it up. It is about what you put it on. Go to the op shop. A friend of mine went to the op shop recently and bought some beautiful little Wedgwood plates. Beautiful. Haunt the op shops and get yourself some nice, fine china dinner plates and some nice bits of china or nice things to, serve your food on. And your next dinner party, it doesn't matter whether you have fish and chips or takeaway. dish it up on some fabulous plates with some serving implements and things like that. And, put some lovely, fancy paper serviettes with it if you haven't got any, material ones or ones out of textile, but they're cheap enough. You can get those and, plate it up and make it all look, amazingly fabulous. And your friends will thank you for it. And by the way, if you can't go to the trouble of, giving them a really fantastic martini on arrival, at least give them a glass of champagne. And you can buy champagne flutes cheap at the secondhand shop. None of this has to be expensive. I'm just trying to say to you that think outside the box. The next time you're having a dinner at home, create an ambiance and an atmosphere of, if you went to some amazing, spectacular restaurant, how would that look or what would they have? And quite frankly, it's nothing more, darlings, than, perhaps a nice white tablecloth on the table or, and don't think about, the cafes and the places you go to. I'm talking about something really, really nice. And there's plenty of help with that. You've only these days, Mr. Google will solve all that for you. And nobody's going to say to you, did you make these fish and chips or, or what? Who cares? Who cares, love? Just make it look fabulous and treat people amazingly and people will go away. You'll never be remembered for who you are. You won't. But you will be remembered for the way you make people feel. And so, work at having people feel, fabulous about what they do. So, back to, I'm old, now what? And the now what is up to you. I said it last week when I was talking about it, but I hope I've given you a few more ideas. Why don't you put a little bit of, now what into inviting, a friend round for afternoon tea, get some nice scones or something and put them on nice plates and give them a serviette and, a nice pot of tea. Don't put the tea bags in a mug, get a nice pot of tea going. And you can put tea bags in the pot. Nobody's going to say, have you got tea leaves in here or, tea bags? Who cares? Nobody cares. And serve it up in nice cups. I do all those sorts of things, and I can tell you that the people around me, when I send out an invitation for dinner or a dinner party or for whatever, I can easily seat 15, 20 people because, like that, people go, yep, I'm there, I'm on board. Why? Because I make people feel fabulous. I make people feel wonderful. I provide an amazing ambiance for them. I put on fabulous music and, and if I can do that at, 76 years of age, I don't know how old you are, but you can bloody well do it. And that doesn't matter even if you're a little bit older and you've never done it. Surprise everybody. Do something different. And, surprise the heck out of them. And don't worry about what people are going to say. It'll be fun just being, the surprise package. So, plenty of things to do as you age and when you're older. And I think there's a great deal of freedom in it. The freedom to be more yourself, the freedom to put your ego, you haven't got the big ego to build, and, be really who you are and be special and be spectacular. And we can all be that in our own way. I'm not saying you can be me, but you can, you can be you and you can be the greatest version of it. See you next week, kids. Don't forget to click on the subscribe now, send it to your friends, and I'm making these a bit longer because I want to create more of a podcast out of it and more something that, just isn't sort of a brush over of things where we can have, a bit more chat and I can give you a bit more information. Look what I've got on today. I did this, it's a necklace, and what I did was I put it round my wrist and put it on. I bought this in Vancouver in Canada quite a number of years ago and I just love it. And I've got a top on under here, this lovely top, which is nice. It's got a big pattern down on the front of it. Here, look, can you see it? And then this fabulous top, which has got love is the highest vibration in the universe, written across the back of it. And it's by Magnolia Pearl Company, which is in the US. And it looks, I love it. And she makes fabulous things, one-off things that might look a bit raggy and like, they've come out of the, 17th or 18th century sometimes, but all collectible pieces and really fabulous. I've even gotten some of my friends on. Oh, before I go, I just want to tell you the story. A friend of mine who had some pretty big time heart surgery 3 or 4 years ago, had fallen into quite a hole after all that. She was getting older and she was all concerned about maybe she wouldn't live, maybe she'd die and all that, as we all do at times. And pardon me, and we've had lots of pep talks and things. But anyway, over this last couple of days, she called me up and she said to me, instead of sitting in my chair, Wallis, she's a great florist, this lady, loves floristry. She's great at it. And I've been trying to encourage her for ages to get back into it. But because she gave it away when she went and had all this, major heart surgery thing done. And anyway, she rang me up a couple of days ago and said, instead of sitting in my chair, I'm going to do certificates, proper, these hotshot, super duper certificates and qualifications where she can open up her own floristry shop if she wanted to. But that's not why she's doing it. She's doing it because she really loves floristry. She's decided to get back into it. She absolutely loves it now that she's taken the first step, which often is the biggest. And she's very, very, very excited, and I'm very excited for her, and I'm so thrilled that after all this time, she sees something for herself and she's got, a reason to get up and get on and get out of that chair she's been sitting in for a long, long time. Isn't that an inspiring story? Thank you. Click on the subscribe now, and we'll see you next week on Wednesdays with Wallis. New podcast, I'm calling it. So, chat soon. Thanks, kids. Love. Bye.